Welcome to Global Pulse News, Malawi's voice of fearless analysis and clear conversation. Today, we're unpacking a story that has set both political corridors and village discussions ablaze. Zinthu Zasinthilatu, Alhomwe President Peter Mutharika wafika ku Mulhako wa Alhomwe pa 19 October 2025. Yes, Able, the former president didn't just attend a cultural event. He arrived like a symbol of something shifting, something stirring, and something perhaps reborn. The Mulhako wa Alhomwe festival, known for its rhythm, color, and heritage, suddenly became a scene where the air felt heavier, cameras sharper, and whispers louder. Some called it a simple appearance, others a calculated re-entry. Either way, Zinthu Zasinthilatu indeed. Over the next few minutes, we'll break it all down in 5 key insights. Not rumors, not reactions, but an analytical pulse of what Peter Mutharika's presence really meant for DPP, for the cultural stage, and for Malawi's political heartbeat. So buckle up, Bwana, because this story isn't just about drums and dances. It's about timing, tone, and transformation. When people gathered at Chonde in Mulanje for the annual Mulhako wa Alhomwe celebration, they expected culture, color, and unity. What they didn't expect was a wave of political electricity running through the crowd like silent thunder. The atmosphere was cheerful, yes, but gati tinga nene moona, there was tension too. Not negative tension, but curiosity. Something had shifted the mood. As the music played and the dancers moved, rumors swirled, APM akubwera lero? And when he finally appeared, calm yet commanding, the drums suddenly seemed to beat in rhythm with the whispers. It was no longer just about celebrating Alhomwe heritage, it was about witnessing presence. People clapped, cheered, ululated, and even those sitting quietly leaned forward. Analysts later noted that Mutharika's arrival had the weight of symbolism. After months of silence and speculation about his political intentions, this single appearance reignited discussion about the Democratic Progressive Party's future. Was this simply patronage or positioning? The festival became less about folklore and more about forecasting. Culture has power, and that day proved it. In Malawi, politics doesn't only happen in parliament. It dances on the same ground where heritage thrives. Mulhako turned into a mirror, reflecting both pride and politics. But if the air was charged that day, the meaning behind the appearance was even more loaded. Let's unpack what made this move so strategic. Timing, Able, is everything, and APM's sense of it remains unmatched. After keeping a low profile for most of the year, his decision to appear at Mulhako wa Alhomwe right when political winds were shifting was anything but accidental. Political insiders whispered, "Izi sizotipika mwangozi, izi ni intawi yake yolimbikitsa chizindikiwo." By attending a purely cultural event, Mutharika managed to appear above the political fray while subtly reminding everyone that his influence still holds weight. His silence spoke volumes. No fiery speeches, no bold declarations, just presence. That kind of restraint in politics often carries more gravity than words. It's like chess. Sometimes the quiet move changes the whole game. Analysts noted how he interacted with traditional leaders, how chiefs approached him with respect, and how the crowd responded with nostalgia and admiration. The optics were deliberate. They signaled stability, continuity, and respect for heritage values DPP has long tried to associate with. Moreover, the timing was key. Coming at a point when the party's internal leadership debates were heating up, this appearance acted as a reminder that the elder statesman was still watching, perhaps guiding. Mutharika's calm demeanor at Mulhako said, "I may not be campaigning, but don't forget the roots of where it all began." If timing was his weapon, then the setting was his stage, because in Malawi, culture and politics are never far apart.
Mulhako wa Alhomwe isn't just another festival. It's a cultural institution that binds heritage and pride. But when leaders step into that space, the line between culture and politics often blurs faster than rain on Mulanje rocks. This year's celebration proved that yet again. As Mutharika walked through the pavilions, shook hands with chiefs, and greeted dancers, cameras rolled with a focus that even a national rally couldn't command. The symbolic power of his presence extended beyond the Alhomwe community. It spoke to the entire nation. Here was a former president showing up where people least expected a political pulse. To the public, the sight felt both familiar and new. Familiar because Mulhako has long been associated with the Alhomwe roots of DPP's founders. New because the energy felt revived, strategic, and carefully choreographed. One journalist from AMTV observed, Mulhako wa kalangati platform yosone zampamvu sachikaridwe ndiutsogoreri. The stage mattered. The traditional setting lent legitimacy. The colorful crowd created warmth. The cultural pride offered unity. And in that mix, Mutharika's reemergence felt less like nostalgia and more like renewal. By aligning with culture, he repositioned himself not as a politician seeking power, but as a patron preserving identity. That subtle shift from political figure to cultural guardian may have been the smartest move yet. Because in a country where tradition commands trust, showing respect to heritage is a masterstroke in reconnecting with the people. But culture can also be communication, and what was communicated at Mulhako went far beyond greetings and dances. Words were few, but messages were many. From the moment Mutharika arrived at Mulhako, his demeanor told a story. Standing tall beside traditional leaders, occasionally smiling but mostly composed, he projected confidence without aggression. Ulemu ndi muhamvuzo salanghula. His gestures towards chiefs, respectful nods to cultural leaders, and acknowledgement of performers all sent subtle messages: leadership, patience, and unity. For seasoned observers, these were not casual moves. They were deliberate expressions of strength through calmness. Political psychologists call it nonverbal assertion. When a leader doesn't need to shout to be heard, he gains quiet authority. That's exactly what unfolded that day. The audience saw a man who has faced both victory and loss, yet still stands rooted in tradition. Meanwhile, social media amplified the symbolism. Hashtags like Zinthu Zasinthilatu and APM at Mulhako trended across Malawi, mixing cultural pride with political curiosity. Young people posted memes and analyses showing how one public appearance reignited debate about Malawi's leadership future. Some critics suggested that the event blurred cultural boundaries, but supporters countered, saying that honoring heritage should never be mistaken for politicking. Either way, the symbolism worked. The image of Peter Mutharika at Mulhako became a talking point, dignified, deliberate, and memorable. In communication terms, it was a masterclass, one appearance, multiple interpretations. And that's where the power lies, in ambiguity. People don't forget what they can't fully define. But beyond symbolism and silence lies the question that everyone is now asking. What does this mean for Malawi's political direction and for the DPP? Every move on the public stage carries ripples, and Mulhako's 2025 edition was no exception. For the Democratic Progressive Party, Peter Mutharika's appearance served as both reassurance and reawakening. Within DPP ranks, it reminded members that the foundation of the party, discipline, cultural identity, and unity, still has a living symbol. Party insiders quickly interpreted his presence as a unifying gesture, especially at a time when factional debates about leadership had been intensifying. Bwanaki twa chinziriko wa tiarenzano kulimbikirikilwa. One regional youth coordinator told Global Plus News, the cultural scene thus became a political reset, soft but impactful. Beyond party lines, the move stirred wider discussion about leadership succession, generational change, and national identity. For ordinary Malawians, seeing Mutharika at Mulhako carried emotional significance, a reminder of continuity and calm in a landscape of political uncertainty. International observers also took note. Diplomats and analysts viewed it as a demonstration of how culture can stabilize or influence political narratives in sub-Saharan democracies. It showcased Malawi's unique brand of politics, where leadership legitimacy often walks hand in hand with cultural respect. Whether Peter Mutharika intends to re-enter active politics or simply strengthen his legacy as an elder statesman, one truth stands out. Zinthu Zasinthilatu. Things have indeed changed. Culture now sits at the crossroads of identity and influence, and the Mulhako stage might just have opened a new chapter for how Malawi merges heritage with politics. So what could we conclude from all this? The answer might surprise you, because it's bigger than any one event. Mulhako Alhomwe 2025 wasn't just a festival, it was a reflection of how deeply culture and politics are intertwined in Malawi. What we saw in Jonde wasn't only about Peter Mutharika, it was about legacy, timing, and the power of presence. Whether it marks a comeback, a continuation, or simply a statement, it reminded us that leadership can be expressed not just through words, but through where you stand and when you appear. At Global Pulse News, we say, observe, don't assume. Because behind every drumbeat, there's meaning. And behind every leader's step, there's intention. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button, subscribe to join our fearless community, and ring that bell so you never miss when the pulse of Malawi beats again. Drop your thoughts below. Was this cultural pride, quiet strategy, or both? And remember, we don't just report the story, we translate the pulse of the nation. This is Global Pulse News, bold, balanced, and proudly Malawian.